Welcome to Nawiri Wellness Stories. Here, we will share with you stories of how life affects us differently and impacts our wellness. If you can relate in any way to the characters in these stories, you're welcome to reach out to share your story too. With these stories, we seek to bring to light different experiences which affect us adversely, to normalize the experiences and in some instances propose possible ways of navigating them. Welcome. Today's story is about Baby Swap, Grace and Paul's story. Grace and Paul were excited about having their first baby. When the time for giving birth drew nearer, they were all set to welcome their child. They didn't have the opportunity to determine the gender of their child, as ultrasound technology as we now have it was not widely available. It was the case then that individuals were asked to do ultrasound tests when the gynecologist suspected some anomalies in the pregnancy. Grace's pregnancy did not present with any noted anomalies. When the D-Day came, Grace and Paul checked into the hospital and Grace was booked into the labor ward. Paul was by her bedside until it was time to go into the delivery room. Paul was asked to wait outside while the delivery process was handled. It was a long wait, 4 hours of waiting. Eventually the wait was over and he was informed that he had a son. He was very happy with this news. Shortly after, Grace was wheeled into her ward accompanied by the baby. The couple were very delighted and proceeded to name their child. They named him Jude Bahati. The delivery was normal and so they were discharged after 3 days. Settling at home from hospital was a challenging exercise. Jude cried a lot. Grace was tired a lot, and Paul was often at a loss as how best to support them. This notwithstanding, they leaned into each other and did the best that they could to make things work out. Progressively, they started having hospital visits for scheduled clinic reviews, and visits due to recurring illness. Jude presented with a range of symptoms that seemed to be on a relay. He would run high fevers. This would present as viral and/or bacterial infections. He had skin breakouts, he had oral thrush, he had stomach aches. He was plenty sick. After recurrent visits to the hospital, the pediatrician proposed to test for HIV to check if he was immune compromised. He made this recommendation on the back of the frequency of infections, notwithstanding the attentive care that Grace and Paul gave to Jude. This recommendation took Grace and Paul by surprise. They had tested for HIV when the pregnancy happened, and they tested negative. They, however, agreed to have this test done as recommended by their pediatrician. They expected the results to be negative for Jude. They were surprised when the results turned positive. This had them very confused. They expressed their surprise to the doctor, who then recommended that they do the HIV test again. This they did, and their results were still negative as the parents. Now they were very confused. How could they be HIV negative and have a child who is HIV positive? They asked the pediatrician this question, and he too was not sure of how this came to be. He asked them if they knew their blood types. Grace knew her blood type. She was AB, a universal recipient. Baby Jude was O positive. They needed to test for Paul's blood type. The test showed that Paul was B positive. This was a major revelation. Baby Jude wasn't the child that Paul and Grace bore. They were given someone else's baby by the hospital. This was a very challenging discovery. Paul and Grace loved Jude, and now they had information that he wasn't their biological child. They had many questions and mixed emotions. How did they end up with a child who wasn't their biological child? Was this a deliberate thing by the hospital, or was it a genuine mistake? Will the hospital cooperate with them in tracing their biological child? They loved Jude. How will this transform? Will they be able to find their biological child? What if they aren't able to find their biological child? Will they keep Jude or will they give him away? They felt angry, they felt sad, they felt overwhelmed, scared, confused, helpless, and even betrayed. These feelings came in waves, sometimes together, sometimes separately. Receiving such significant news can be very disorienting. It has the potential to break a couple, and it can also bring the couple together. Given the intensity of emotions and given the fact that the couple is usually at different levels of the emotional spectrum at any point in time, there is a big need for the couple to be very open in communicating their thoughts and feelings. In such moments of intensity, this alignment may miss. A trusted neutral party may help in this season. This could be a trusted couple, the couple's parents, trusted friends, or professional couples therapists. Have you had such an overwhelming discovery? How are you able to navigate through it? Are you willing to share your experiences? Feel free to reach us on 0745 Nawiri, that is 0745 629 474, or email us at nawiriwellness@gmail.com.